There have been a lot of bad licensed games over the years, since they're often just made on the reputation of a name and also rushed to cash in on some hype. It's always easier to buy up a name that everybody already knows and make some money that way. But sometimes licensed titles aren't that bad. Hey guys, I'm Luke from Sloth, and in today's video we take a look back at one of the best licensed games on the PlayStation 2 in my opinion. It's kinda something new we didn't do on this channel yet, but I hope you enjoy it anyways. Let us know in the comments down below. So let's get right to it. GoldenEye, Star Wars Battlefront, South Park The Stick of Truth, or Batman Arkham City are known as great games, even though they are technically licensed and just part of a bigger franchise. Gameplay in these types of games is often tailored to allow the player to recreate a movie's or TV show's plot as closely as possible. Also, many games try to emulate common genres popular at their time. For example, in the 90s, side-scrolling and fighting games were copied a lot. Some studios like Telltale Games take licensed games to the next level though, and create a whole new story and characters while staying in the same universe as the franchise they are based on. Peter Jackson's King Kong: The Official Game of the Movie, developed by Ubisoft, was one of the first licensed games that I can remember playing as a child. The game got released in 2005 across multiple platforms, 2 weeks before the movie came out in cinemas. Some of these different versions were not well received at launch, and back then I picked up the game for PlayStation 2. I was really scared while playing the game, and it also marks the first time I ever got jump scared. The game just had a creepy feeling to it. Not counting in big franchises like Star Wars, Lego or similar ones, King Kong: The Game of the Movie is probably one of my favorite video games based on a movie. Let's look at what the game is all about. The game starts you off with a few scenes from the movie, which is pretty cool. In the scenes you see Jack Black's character Carl, a struggling filmmaker, talk about how he is going to do everything in his power to shoot his movie on an undiscovered island.
3 hours to find a new leading lady or we're finished. There are thousands of actresses out of work in this city. Somewhere out there is a woman born to play this role. A woman who will journey into the heart of the unknown.
For that purpose, he hired an actress named Anne, a crew, and a ship. After a few weeks at sea, they reach the island, but the big ship can't get close enough because of a storm. So they decide to send 3 lifeboats containing the crew and cast. You play as the screenwriter Jack, and the game throws you in on one of the lifeboats. The first thing you see is the name Venture, written on the side of the ship. After a few basic controls, it's time to sail off to the island. On the way, the boat with Anne, Jack, Carl and 2 crew members get separated in the storm. You wake up on a bay and learn that one of the sailors died. Hayes, the remaining crew member, sends a light signal to the captain of the ship. Now the group just needs to find the others and a place where the rescue plane can land. You make your way through a dark passage and fight off some crabs until you get to a large wooden door. The path behind the door leads into a tomb full of giant centipedes. After barely surviving the encounter, the group gets split up, and you are now alone with Anne. Oh, and you know what's just lovely? Now that you 2 guys are alone, you get to see the true genius of Anne.
Did you see that? All the species on this island eat each other.
Oh, so you're saying you didn't know cause the concept of food chains wasn't common knowledge back then? Then I guess I have to let it slide. But of course, our hero Jack has to say something to this.
That's okay, I got enough magazines.
Say hello to my little friend!
Now you do some I go there to open something, you protect me stuff for a while until the islanders appear and take you and Anne captive. Tied to a post, you have to watch Anne get taken away by Kong. After that, Carl unties you and you escape the islanders. Now you find yourself in an area with various stone structures. But out of nowhere, a freaking dinosaur jumps you, and this is one of the strongest points in the game in my opinion. Cause every time there's a dinosaur of some kind, it will make you feel uneasy and defenseless. Cause it's either too big to kill, you don't have any weapons, or you will get killed off in one hit. I died countless times trying to do this part, until I slowly took out the dinosaurs and centipedes in the area, using the stone structures as cover, and got the wooden door open. But before we get to the next part, can we just appreciate the pause screen sounds for a moment? What? In the next part of the game, Carl gets taken by some giant bat and you have to get him back. So you make your way up to the nest and have the first boss battle. Once defeating the giant bat, it's back to fighting dinosaurs. Yay! This time there are 2 dinosaurs, and since you don't have any weapons at all, there's nothing you can do besides hiding again. By distracting them for a while, you can make your way to a crate with a pistol in it and just gun down the dinosaurs. Maybe it's just me, but these door opening sequences in the game were always so scary. You turn, and anything could just jump at you. It's just like these scenes in movies where a character opens the fridge and the camera is positioned in such a way that most of the screen is obscured by the fridge door. You know, when the door closes, someone is going to be standing behind it. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but I was scared of it, leave me alone. After some more dark caves, you see Hayes on a cliff and you have to burn some bushes to get to him. To get fire, you have to dodge some more dinosaurs. What makes these parts always so hard is that the game baits you into using your ammunition on enemies like centipedes or crabs. And then, when you get the real scary dinosaurs, you are all out. In King Kong the game, all you have is one weapon at best, spears you can pick up, and your bare fists. It's like the uncomfortable feeling you get when you play Resident Evil 4, where you are forced to think about every shot twice, or you're going to have a very bad time. Once reunited with Hayes, you find the other crew members. But they are not having a better time and are being chased by a V-Rex. Of course, the giant dinosaur proceeds to chase you now, and all you can do pretty much is run for your life, until he gets distracted by Anne's screams in the distance. But since our main character heard the screams of his love Anne, he has to defy any logic by splitting up and trying to find her on his own. Shortly after splitting up, we see Anne, but she's stuck on a tree and you have to defend her from the other side, until a giant bat drags her away. Can I just point out here how much giant bats drive the plot forward in this game? Really classic storytelling. You remember that scene from Taken where Liam Neeson's daughter gets kidnapped by a giant bat and he has to fly to Paris in order to save her? Or that one time a giant bat killed John Wick's dog and he goes on a rampage against the mafia for some reason? But this bat napping also transitions into the first time you get to play as Kong himself. And even though these parts are mostly button mashing, it is still fun to just go on a rampage through the jungle as a giant ape. The fight against the giant bat is basically the same one as earlier. But what's cool now is you can get into Fury mode as Kong, which makes you deal more damage. After defeating some more smaller bats, you can go and pick up Anne, which she still isn't happy about. Now we're back with Jack, and he makes his way through some dark caves and then meets up with Carl and Hayes once again. Now you get into a long canyon where you see a herd of brontosaurs. They are mostly friendly and don't actually attack you, but if you're not careful, you will be stepped on and die. What follows now is one of the most nerve-wracking parts of the game. Multiple dinosaurs will attack you while you try to get some fire from further down the canyon. It's just so hard to manage this part with low ammo or dinosaurs that will either step on you or eat you. I can't help myself but feel like helpless prey during these levels, and when I finally beat this part after 30 minutes, I really had to take a long break. Now you finally reunite with the rest of the crew, and you, Carl and Hayes join them onto a small raft. While making your way down the river, 2 V-Rexes show up. Further down you get trapped in an area where it seems like there's no escaping, but lucky for you, King Kong comes to the rescue. Now you get to play as the 8th wonder of the world for the 2nd time. After breaking multiple jaws and saving Anne from their fangs, it's back to Jack. Next, you basically get thrown into the log scene from the movie, which in the end just doesn't really do anything, besides you and who's left of the crew getting into another dark cave. I mean, in the movie, Kong throwing down the log into the abyss leads to one of the strongest scenes from the movie, where the main cast is surrounded by an undefeatable number of enemies and you can't help yourself but feel deep desperation. In the game, it's just there for no reason and feels so out of place. You keep playing as Kong, who is now attacked by the Islanders. After escaping from them, another V-Rex appears out of nowhere, throwing Kong off a cliff and starting to chase Anne. Jumping back to Jack, you want to help Anne, so you try to distract the beast until Anne can clear the path for you too. All you have available to do that is some spears and some Stonehenge-like structures to dodge his attacks. It's another part of the game where you feel defenseless against a much bigger enemy. Barely escaping death, you and Anne meet the others in some underground temple where you have to fight off some waves of dinosaurs, find a lever and some fire. Once you get out of the underground, you notice that you didn't escape the V-Rex after all and he's still on the hunt for you. Now Anne comes up with the plan to light up some fire and call Kong for help, which then works after some distraction of the creature. Right after this, there's an accidentally funny scene in the game. Haze tries to shoot Kong and gets stepped on by a dinosaur. The whole thing just looks so freaking funny.
Mr. Hayes!
After that, Anne gets taken away again, but this time by A. Aliens, B. The police for not paying her taxes, or C. Godzilla. Post your answer in the comments. It's a giant bat again. At least we finally make it to Kong's lair after all. Now Jack just has to make it up there and save Anne from Kong. On the way to there you have to do some more dinosaur dodging and puzzle solving. At the lair, Anne and Jack get attacked by some giant worms, which King Kong then has to fight off. But this time he's really angry, chasing after Jack and Anne. You eventually make your way back to the wall from the beginning, where you first think you're finally safe, but then the islanders show up and they take away Anne again. Then Kong appears and destroys everything in his path. Next you save Anne as Kong and make your way down to a small bay area. But Carl and the crew are waiting there to capture the giant monkey, which they then succeed in. In the next scene, Kong wakes up finding himself in an opera house in New York. Now you get to do the whole rampaging through the city stuff, which is pretty awesome. Then you climb the Empire State Building, and I think everybody knows how the story ends.
It was beauty killed the beast.
In my eyes, King Kong the game of the movie still holds up in terms of being a somewhat scarier type of game, in the sense of making you feel uneasy. Even after all this time, I still got the same feeling playing the game that I got when I was a little boy. And while this video might be over, make sure to subscribe to Rocket Sloth for more gaming lists, news and discussions uploaded daily. Your new #1 source for all things gaming.